Hi, everybody. I'm Kelly Hogan, and welcome back to my Zero Carb Life. Today, I have my friend Laurel with me. Laurel and I, we've hung out in person. We've
Mhm.
also hung out in the groups on Zoom. Laurel is a lovely, kind, warm person, and actually, I just thought of this. Here's something I can't say in any other interview except when my husband comes on the channel. Um, I've been a little bit compromised with you, Laurel.
You sure have.
Maybe we should explain. Why is that?
Well, I am a massage therapist and I have given you a massage.
I,
So,
and it was
yes.
awesome. She is fantastic. And I thought this is going to be super awkward because we're friends. And no, you were amazing and it just put me right at ease. So I don't know why that didn't come up in my mind before this interview, but there it is. And also, y'all, I'll tell you that I knew that Laurel would come here looking, she's always very put together, and you are right now. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna wash my hair before this interview and get looking ready. And then one of my children got sick at school today, and I was just gone the whole afternoon unexpectedly. So right now might be a good time to mention that this hat. I have some of these available right now if anybody would like a hat, but it came to the rescue today. So, Laurel, thanks for joining me today. Tell me a little bit about your backstory, but where we're headed with this is your issues with keto and carnivore and weight loss stalls. When I heard your story, I thought, oh my gosh, this is the story of millions of people
Mm.
in some ways who are stuck in the exact same way that you were a year or so ago. So you're going to bring us up to speed, and then we're going to find out how you got out of that corner you were painted into.
Really, my troubles started, I would say, kind of adolescence. My parents got divorced when I was 11. So I'm one of four kids, found myself living just with my mom and I.
Okay.
And so the kids ended up getting split up. My mom was a stay-at-home mom and like part-time substitute teacher. And then she went to working like 12, 14-hour days.
Okay.
So I was then the latchkey kid coming home by myself. I had moved to a new school district, new neighborhood, didn't have any friends yet. Very lonely, and I was super shy as a kid. And I found comfort in the cupboard, shall we say. That's where I started going to food for comfort. And I was never one that got morbidly obese or, and I'm tall, I'm about your height, I'm 5'9". So, you can kind of carry a little bit more without it being super obvious. But my brother was um, always telling me that I was fat. And I worshiped the ground he walked on. So he put me on my first diet. I think I was 14, maybe 15. And this diet was like, five or 600, ridiculous
Ah, yeah.
for a growing
Yes.
human. Funny, one time he caught my nemesis was peanut butter. And he caught me, oh man. And I would be the spoon with the jar. And he caught me I was sniffing it
Oh,
because I was like, I'm so hungry.
oh.
So I was sniffing this jar of peanut butter and he came in, he goes, you can inhale calories through your nose.
No, he
Like,
didn't.
what? No. So yeah, so that's kind of where it started. And it became a 40-year battle
Hmm.
of I was the quintessential yo-yo dieter, like always on a diet, and then I would be starving, hungry, and then I would eat, 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 eat. And then I would gain whatever, 20 pounds or something. And then I would always catch myself like, well, I can't go farther than that. And so then I would go on the next super restrictive, usually, a yogurt, a lot of lettuce, that kind of stuff.
I did that too. I did a whole yogurt diet. Nothing was allowed but yogurt because I told myself you can't get fat on yogurt. It's
Right.
impossible.
Yeah, I did yogurt and I found out at 10 that I was allergic to milk, but I still tried to, I don't know. It's the things we do.
Yes.
So it went decades, and I tried I was vegetarian for a while, and then I was vegan for a while. My girlfriend actually got me to do raw vegan. So, like the fruitarian, all you eat is fruit. That was downright scary because at that point in time, I had kids and I literally fell asleep driving, not driving, but I was stopped at the stoplight and I was carpooling and I was like, if I can just close my eyes for a second, I'll feel so much better. And I closed my eyes at the stoplight and I fell asleep. And then someone's honking behind me and my kids are like, Mom. Ugh. And I was so scared, but I just had no energy and I was just living on sugar because all I was eating was fruit all day long.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so that was decades. And then it was in 2018, I started having this horrible pain in my right leg. And I didn't know what it was from. And it would periodically, I'd get a shooting pain down my leg, and then all the strength in my leg would go away. And I would almost fall over because I had no strength in my leg. I'm like, what is going on with me? And I'd always been tried to be active. I mean, there was a period of time 20 years ago that I actually ran 4 marathons. And so I was a runner and I was always active. So this was hard for me to feel like, what, I can't even walk. I'd sit down for 20 minutes and I'd get up and I'd be limping. So a lot of pain. I started to get neuropathy in my knee, like my knee was going numb. So I ended up going to an orthopedic surgeon, talking to him, trying to figure out what's going on. And they sent me to physical therapy, did a round of physical therapy. It did nothing. And then sent me back to the doctor. And fortunately, the doctor said he was not one of these, I want to do surgery. Because he said I had two bulging discs,
Oh,
L4 and L5. I had two bulging discs. And he said, I want to send you to another physical therapist. It's a different type of therapy. Okay. So I go to this other physical therapist, and again, it's not working. And I said, I don't understand. I'm doing all the exercises, I'm doing everything you're telling me to do. Why is this not getting better? And he said, you have so much inflammation in your body, it's not going to get better until you get rid of that inflammation. It's like, so how do I do that? Like,
yeah.
how do I do that? And he was the first person that I'd ever heard say there's a correlation between what you eat and that you have inflammation in your body. And so he asked me what I ate. And he said, be honest. And so I was at that point in time, I was like, I feel like I'm going to lose the ability to walk. Like, I need to figure this out. So I was brutally honest with him, always had a super sweet tooth, and told him, I try to eat really well,
Yeah.
eat a lot of vegetables,
Mm.
but I really love chocolate, that kind
Yeah,
of thing.
right.
And he said, you gotta cut out the sugar, like cut out the fruit, because I was like, okay, cut out chocolate. He's like, no, cut it all out. So I said, okay. So I started researching about it, and then I said, okay, I'll do it. And that's when I guess then I went keto because I cut all that out, went down to the 20 grams of carbohydrates. And within, I would say, 3 weeks, all of a sudden I felt like the physical therapy is working. I
Oh,
didn't feel like this miraculous, oh, everything's wonderful, but suddenly, hey, I think the physical therapy is working. Like the numbness is starting to go away in my knee, and I'm starting to get a little bit of strength back in my leg. And so that encouraged me enough to keep going. And so it was all that was 2019. So it was January of 2019 that I started it. And I stayed with it all year. I ended up losing 30 pounds.
hey.
My leg I had hardly any pain. I had chronic back pain, low back pain from a car accident had happened 20 years earlier. That started to go away. So I was like, okay, there's something to this. But I was lightheaded all the time. I felt like I didn't have any energy. I would get up in the morning to go do a workout or go for a walk or something, and I would literally just be like,
Oh,
I can't, like, I feel like I'm gonna pass out. So, and then I would just be super hungry, super cravey in February of 2020. So this is before COVID, so we can't blame it on COVID. It
right.
was February of 2020. I had a family incident that was pretty stressful, and I told myself, you can eat your feelings for 10 days.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm. Can imagine how that went. So I did. I happily ate whatever I wanted for 10 days. And I thought, well, then, okay, my 10 days are up now. I just get right back on keto.
Yeah.
Wow. Easier said than done. Yeah. So that ended up being like the next several months of why can't I get back on this? Why can't I do this? And then I started having all these weird symptoms of like my ankles were swelling and my hands were swelling and I was getting super itchy and I got the keto rash like crazy bad and thought, I don't understand this. So actually it was, Mary Roberts, Keto Mary 70.
Yes. Love her.
I had connected with her on Facebook and I just reached out to her and I was like, I don't understand why I'm having all these weird, like weirdo symptoms.
Let me just ask, you were back on keto at this point when all these symptoms flared back up.
Yes,
Okay.
I
Okay.
was back on keto, but I was struggling to stay on it because I kept having all these symptoms
Yeah.
flaring up. So then I was kind of like, screw it, I might as well just
Yes.
eat whatever, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. And she said, well, why don't you try carnivore, the ultimate elimination diet? And I was like, what, what are you talking about? And
What's
then
this?
she basically described the lion diet. She said, beef, salt, water, it's you cut everything out. And I had been on an elimination diet 10 years prior, but it was like a plant-based one to try and figure out some, because I was having histamine
I see.
reactions to all these different foods. So I was like, well, meat elimination diet sounds better than the one I'd done before because it was like this horrible chalky drink and then I could have like raw spinach and pears. I mean, it was so awful.
Yes.
So I was like, well, at least the meat would fill me up a little bit more. So I guess I could try that. So I said, okay. And so it was June 6th of 2020 that I started and tried it. And I've, after like 3 days, all of the swelling was completely gone. Like I literally would get swelling, like I'd have a tennis ball on the side of my ankle, like
Oh,
an actual, this
oh
huge
my
ball.
gosh.
All the swelling went away. I felt almost euphoric. So that was June of 2020, but I had trouble sticking to it
Yeah.
because I did what I did every time I was on a plan, which was eat as little as possible.
Mm, yeah.
Because I was always trying to lose weight, was always trying to lose weight. And so naturally, if I'm going to be keto, carnivore, whatever it was, vegan, vegetarian, it's always eat as little as you can. The yogurt diet, eat as little as you can. Whoever came up with the Twinkie diet probably said limit your Twinkies.
Probably did. Jerks.
So I kept like I would make it a week, I'd make it 2 weeks, 10 days, whatever. And then I would just be ravenously hungry. And I would go, usually it would be like the nut butters or nuts or, something. And I realized hindsight, it was the fat. I was just craving fat because I would go to something that was really high fat
Yeah.
and just couldn't stop. I'd start and then I'd feel like I couldn't stop. And I guess we could say that I'm a slow learner because I kind of kept that cycle going for 3 years.
Mm,
It's like I just kept, I mean, in some ways, I guess it's good that I'm stubborn because I kept thinking, I know this is the right thing. I know this is the right thing. I'm just somehow not doing it right.
Yeah.
But I couldn't figure out what it was that I wasn't doing right.
I'll tell you, you might think of yourself as a slow learner, but I bet there are so many women watching right now who wonder, why can't I stick with this? What's wrong with me? I don't have the willpower. Why isn't this working? But I'm still not losing weight. Oh my gosh, I'm so hungry. Then I cheat. Then I'm back to it. It is such a common tale, which is why I wanted you to come here to share it. And then I'm assuming that your weight stalled out at some point on this 3-year cycle.
Yeah, it did. I'm not the person that, oh, I had 70 pounds to lose and it stalled and I still have a bunch of weight to lose. It just, I would lose, but then I would be so hungry. So then I would eat,
Yeah.
gain it. So I was still on that yo-yo, even though I was probably 85% of the time I was carnivore, maybe 90% of the time, but I just kept going up and down.
Right.
And I couldn't regulate it because I couldn't figure out how to do it so that I felt good.
Yeah.
And I kept watching everybody on Instagram who is, I have so much energy. I have energy coming out of my ears. And I'm like, well, I don't have energy. Like, I
Yeah.
don't feel like I want to die, like when I tried veganism. And I don't feel like I'm going to pass out when I was keto. And I'm not struggling as much with the sugar cravings, but I just don't have that energy. And then I would end up, eating an entire bag of pork rinds dipped in sour cream. And then I would move on to the next thing until I was just like sick stuffed, like feeling overly full. And then it was the shame and all like, you know, you have no self-control. You're an idiot. You can't figure this out. And I also during that time didn't really realize and understand the addiction part of it, like the food addiction and sugar and carb addiction. So I knew that I was dealing with like emotional eating also, but there was so much that I just didn't get.
Yeah. Well, all of the emotional eating part and the food addiction that we sometimes say, oh, I'm an emotional eater and I'm addicted to certain foods. All of that is very possible and true sometimes, but it's going to be wildly exacerbated when someone is just not eating enough meat on a
Yeah.
carnivore diet. So
Yep.
yeah, of course, I got emotional and binge ate 4 bags of pork rinds, but it's not just because you're emotional. It's because you're emotional and still hungry,
Starving. Yes.
starving.
And
Yeah.
starving.
Yeah.
And that was me. That was me. So I don't know if it was October or September of 23. You were talking, doing one of your walks and talks, I don't know, waiting in the carpool line or something, and you're talking and you were saying, focus on the processes. Don't focus on the end result. Just focus on the good things that you're doing. And for whatever reason that day, I was like, what a concept. I guess I never thought about that because I was always so end result driven. It was always like, well, I have to fit into this dress for this. I got married in 2022. I got to fit into the dress. I got to, you know, it's for this event, for that thing, whatever it is. I was always end result focused, not this is just the way I live my life.
Yes.
Like I take walks, I get sunlight, I go to bed early, all the different things. I eat nutrient dense meat. I do these things so that I can achieve this result.
Mm.
And when I wasn't achieving that result, or I was doing this thing all the time, I'd achieve the result for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I was so hungry, then, I'd be in the dress for the day. And then the next day I'm like, I'm starving. Um, and then go back to overeating. It was just such a cycle of feeling like such a failure.
Yeah.
And I just, all these other people can figure this out. I just can't figure this out.
Okay.
Um, I'm in this community. I love this community, but I just can't figure this out. And maybe I'm just never going to figure this out.
Right.
Um, So you said that, and then we talked about it while I was giving you a massage.
Yes.
And it just solidified. So I really started just like, okay, starting that process, I'm just going to let go of this other head noise and just focus on these processes. I enjoy walking. There was all these things that I was doing that were good. I was trying to get sunrise light. I was trying to walk at sunset. I was walking. So I was doing all these things right. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to focus on those things. So I started focusing on those things and then went on a trip with my kids, my three kids, last Christmas. So Christmas of 23, we went to Joshua Tree and then to Tucson, Arizona. There was just a shift that also happened then. We had so much fun and we were hiking and in the sun, and my kids are in their 20s. So, and I was keeping up with them and they're all athletic. I wasn't really keeping up with them. I like to think I was keeping up with them. I wasn't holding them back too miserably bad. Let's say that.
Okay.
But I was doing it and I was like, okay, I can do this. This is good. And then January, I finally, after I don't know how many times of hearing you, hearing Mary Roberts, hearing all these different people saying, stop under eating, stop under eating, stop under eating. I finally was like, do you think I'm under eating? Do you think that's it? Do you think maybe a woman who is 5'9" and likes to walk a lot, maybe I should have more than 1,500 calories a day?
Is that about what you had been sticking to, you think, for all this time of carnivore was about
Mhm.
1500? Yeah, I think
When I
that's,
was when I was keto, it was probably more like 12 to 1,300.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right,
No
12
wonder
to
why.
1300. Then you go carnivore. I'm going to eat more, but it's 1500. And for some of you, if you're 5'0" and sedentary, maybe 1500 would be okay. You are 5'9" and you are active and starving because 1500 is not sustainable.
Right. So I said, okay, maybe I'm under eating. So I went to the ye old TDEE calculator
Yes.
and tried to be honest, like completely honest. Okay, I have a physical job. I'm a massage therapist. I'm pushing on people for 7, 8 hours a day. And I like to walk. And I attempt to lift weights in my basement.
Nice.
Nothing major, but so it's like, okay, I'm an active person. And that TDEE calculator came up at 2138.
Would you be okay with us filling out my TDEE with your stats just to
Sure.
sort of see? Okay. All right. So this is my Zero Carb Life Carnivore TDEE calculator. TDEE is total daily energy expenditure, and I had other stats in there, but maybe when you first were filling this out, approximately what was your weight then? You might be different now. I don't know, but
So back then it was I think I was 165.
okay, 165. You're 5'9". I did not know your age, but you told me right before the interview, and I was very surprised to learn because I thought maybe we were about the same age. I've seen you in person, so I know this isn't like a Zoom filter. You look good. But y'all, Laurel is 57. Fantastic. Female. And would you say that you walk 20,000-ish steps, workout? Is that where you think you would put yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Let's hit calculate. Yep, you're right. For maintenance, around 2100. And if you wanted to do the big calorie cut, we're talking still about 2000 calories.
Yeah.
For those who are in the groups and have this, I do want to point something out. If you are currently feeling good and getting positive results with your carnivore diet, Laurel and I, neither one, think that you need to start counting calories, using your TDEE, doing a bunch of altering of anything if intuitive is working. Agreed?
Agreed.
Okay. But it wasn't working for Laurel. She wasn't feeling amazing. She wasn't getting the results she was hoping for. So at that point, that is when I have people fill it out. And then there are 12 tips down below on how to make adjustments. But your biggest takeaway when you filled out TDEE was, okay, I should be eating more. Did that feel scary?
It felt really scary. Yeah, it actually really did. I mean, in a way, it was kind of like, okay, I'm not eating enough. I really do need to eat more. But then I thought, I can't eat that much.
Right.
I,
Or
there's no
like
way.
you would have wanted to. It wasn't scary because, oh, how will I ever fit in that much food? No, that's me
No,
too. Some
no,
people say they're scared because they literally don't think they can eat that much, but me and you have talked. That's not our
yeah,
issue. It's
no.
more if I ate that much food, I am going to gain like crazy. Was that what was going through your mind?
Mhm. And I was already, for me, 165 is more than I wanted to be weighing. I was already, had all the multiple sizes in the closet, and I was way on the big. There was a whole bunch of stuff I was not wearing. And I was like, I am not getting bigger. Like, no, I just don't want to do that. I don't want to have to go buy another bigger pair of pants. So I was really scared. So I did it slowly, not super slowly, but I didn't just immediately jump up. So but the number one thing that I did, and I can't remember who gave me this advice, but somebody was like, you have got to eat more and you've got to eat more in the morning. And I had always been trying to do the intermittent fasting and wait until, 11 or whatever to eat. And all morning I'm just like, oh my goodness, what time is it? What to
Yes.
eat something? So I'm like, okay. So then I started having these big breakfasts.
Yes.
And I was literally like stunned that so much of the head noise and that fatigue and that dizziness and going up the stairs and feeling like, whew, my
Yes.
legs feel tired, and just that whole kind of, okay, here's another day. How am I going to get through this day? It just went away
Yeah.
because I was just eating a big old breakfast. And at that point, the big old breakfast was probably about 800 calories.
Yeah.
Now a big old breakfast is more like 1,200. But
Yeah.
so that made a huge difference. And I definitely switched to 3 meals a day. But yeah, so I just slowly started ramping up the calories and was just panic struck. But I think the first 3 weeks, I just stayed steady. So I was like, okay, okay, I don't need to panic. This is okay. And it took about 3 weeks. And then I slowly started losing weight. Like it was actually, there were a few weeks that were kind of fast. Like I would weigh myself every Friday morning, never more than once a week. There was a few weeks where I was like, oh my goodness, I lost 3 pounds. Like, whoa, in the beginning, that would happen.
Yeah.
But then it was literally like a pound a week, three
Beautiful.
quarters of a pound, half a pound, just slow and steady. Some weeks, nothing, just, kind of cooking along. And then all of a sudden, before I knew it, I was like, oh my goodness, I've lost 30 pounds. Like, what just happened?
Oh,
So,
cool. Yeah.
mhm,
Oh, that
yeah,
makes me so happy. I can't wait for people to watch this, Laurel. There are so many people just scared to death. And when they say, well, I increased my calories, but I'm not losing, I'm like, hello, this is still such a win right now. Stick with it. Don't expect that in the first, 5 days of finally feeding yourself that your body will go, oh, well, this is a good week. We should just let go of all this body fat. Like it's
yeah,
been years,
yeah,
years of your body not getting what it needs. So you did what, in my opinion, is one of the absolute hardest things to convince anyone to do and was one of the scariest things that I ever did, partly because I had lost weight and was panicked about gaining it back. But at some point, I had to start eating more and it feels very scary to a lot of
yeah.
people. And I hope that you speaking this will give somebody the courage to say, all right, I'm going to do it. And I can do it slowly. I can add 50 calories and stay there for a week until I see I didn't gain anything. I could add 100 calories. Yeah.
It's interesting to me how it was so scary because when I think back of restricting, restricting, restricting. And then I would just be ravenous. And who knows how much I was eating when I was like, okay, now I'm eating all the pork rinds and I'm eating all the sour cream and I'm dumping Parmesan cheese into the container of sour cream and just eating it with a spoon. And I mean, just, I, trying to consume everything I could find. I don't know how many calories that was. I never added that up, but sure heck, it was way over
Yeah.
1,500 calories. So obviously, it shouldn't have been so scary,
Mhm.
right? It should not have been so scary. But I think as women, it's like we've just so ingrained in us. We have to have these tiny little appetites and we have to be eating less than the guys. And I was just really scared. I thought you have to be on a diet and you have to be picking at your food and you shouldn't be able to eat all that food. But it now I'm like, I'm eating way more than I ever thought that I would eat. And I still keep wondering, like, okay, when am I gonna start porking out here? It's not happening.
Right. I
So,
think what you said probably is going to resonate with a lot of people who say, well, I'm keeping my calories really low until I get so hungry I can't, so then I binge. And people will sometimes notice that after a big binge, even if it's on carnivore, that they might see the scale go up when they do that. And they
mm,
probably do because what they're doing is they've got this happy place where they probably, for you, around 2,000, 2,100 calories was recommended. So every day you're staying way below that, except when you can't take it anymore, then you jump up to 3 to 4,000, somewhere crazy. We're making
yeah,
this
yeah,
numbers up right. And then your body is just going to cling to everything it can get because it's a time of scarcity. So they're right. You probably do see the scale go up versus if you were to just nourish yourself adequately every day, your body wouldn't have that scarcity mentality.
right. Well, and I also found during this whole process, even that kind of sticking right around 2,000 calories, 2,100, 1,900 some days, just somewhere in there, I would have days where I was just hungry.
Yes.
Like I'm just hungry today. And it took a long time. And I still feel like I'm working on like just being okay eating as much as it takes
Okay.
until I feel like, okay, I feel good now. Like I feel okay. And I would purposely not track that day.
Yeah.
I would weigh after that. It's like I would even skip a week because I knew it would mess with my head. If I tracked and I saw, holy cow, I ate 3,200 calories,
Yeah.
then I knew that panic would sit in. And then if I weighed myself the next day and I was up a pound, then that panic would start. Then I'd be like, oh no, now I gotta go back down or I can't do that anymore. And I was like, no, I need to just learn to listen to my body. And if I'm hungry, I'm hungry.
Yeah. Because you weren't hungry for Twinkies. You were hungry for just
Right.
meat. And it wasn't like you were binging out in those days, I assume, on the pork rinds. You needed more meat that
Right.
day. And to me,
Yeah.
that's a sign if somebody says, I want more burger patties today, then baby, you're hungry. If you're ever wanting sardines, I guarantee you're hungry, right? Like there are some foods that are just very good at letting us know, hey, you're truly hungry. You can't trust your body with processed foods, right? There's no trust in your body there, but you can trust your body when it's just meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I could say, because there's got to be somebody out there that the thought of that sends panic through their bones because it was for me always. Like I can't just allow myself to eat unlimited amounts of meat because that feels too reminiscent of being completely out of control with food and eating unlimited amounts of junk.
Yeah.
And so unlimited amounts equaled you're out of control and this is bad and panic and then you're a failure and there's going to be shame and this you're bad
Yeah.
when so I'm still learning that but I'm learning to say no not when it's me not when it's good stuff
Yeah.
then your body's just saying no I'm just hungry I just need more nutrients I just need more fuel so
and you know this, but maybe other people don't. But in my groups, we call it a metabolic reset day and I encourage people do not track on that day. Take a day occasionally, especially for people who feel like, I know I really could eat more and I'm so hungry that day. Take the day off from tracking and have a super high calorie day and tell yourself, for one thing, yes, I was hungry. Secondly, it's meat. And third of all, it can actually be a good thing for your metabolism to have a big, big eating day and then to get back to what is your norm, right?
Yeah.
And if you
Mhm.
call it a metabolic reset day, you feel like you just did something special, something good. Look at me resetting that metabolism. It sort of reframes it into a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I also felt one of your recommendations, the walking after meals,
Yeah.
that was one of the processes that I started implementing. And that was really helpful a lot also with my mindset.
Mm.
And I remember you saying once, like, I'll finish eating and then I think, I could eat more. Like, I
Always.
kind of want to eat more. And then you'd go for the walk. And after the walk, you'd be like, no, I'm good. I don't need to eat more. And I found that to be true. But then also on those big eating days, I found it to be true that if I ate all the food until I was satisfied, and then went for a walk, if I had done that with carbs and sugar and junk, I wouldn't be going for a walk. I'd be
Uh,
like,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel horrible. But I'm out there going for a walk. I'm like, I feel good.
Yeah.
I feel good. I feel energized. I feel like I want to take a walk. I don't feel overly. So it was kind of my litmus test of I don't feel overly full.
Yeah.
I feel, I feel full. I ate till I was done and felt full, but I don't feel overly like I overdid it. So
Right.
that was a really good kind of reset. And then I would come back home and I'd be like, okay,
Yeah.
go on with the day.
Yeah.
So
And
that was really helpful.
oh, good. And if people ever do that where they think, oh, because volume eaters, that's what I consider myself, sometimes can be very slow to feel satisfied. So we'll eat and eat and eat and eat. And then 30 minutes later, we realize, oh my gosh, I overdid it again. Because I'm a
Mhm.
fast eater and it just takes me a while to feel satisfied. So if I'll eat
Yeah.
my normal carnivore meal, then take a walk, come back, typically I realize, oh, now that was plenty. But if it wasn't, I can always have more, right? It's not like saying, get up and walk away from the table, kitchen closed. It's more like, give yourself a minute. Now you can assess and find out
Yeah.
what you need. Yeah.
Yeah. So all these processes like the taking the walk and tracking and the TDEE calc, they're all so good for just like kind of keeping you in check. I mean, for me, tracking is good because there'll be days when I think, oh, if I'm trying to eyeball the meat,
Mm.
I will actually eyeball less because I'm like, seriously? You're gonna eat all that? That's kind of a lot. But then I would weigh it and I put it in the carb manager. I'm like, oh, actually, I need more. Oh,
Yes.
goody. And
Yes.
it kind of keeps me then eating enough so I don't fall into that like, oh, you should restrict.
Right.
You should eat less. You should have a more demure appetite. So yeah, so I don't know. I just have appreciated so much all of these little processes, tricks, the metabolic resets, the walking after meals, the tracking, they're all just great for me. They've just been really helpful to kind of keep me on track, keep me going in the right direction, reminding me you need to eat at least this much food.
I know that you and I both hear a lot of voices, and probably people watching too. You hear a lot of voices in the space saying, you do not, as long as you're eating real meat, real food, you do not need to track. No one needs a calculator to know how much to eat. Animals in the wild do not need calculators. And the people who say that, it's not that I disagree. For them, it would be ridiculous for them to start tracking because intuitive is going so well. But very often the people saying that were not long-time dieters. They were not people who underate and squashed their leptin for years. They didn't kill their hunger cues, their satiety cues. They didn't train themselves to lower the metabolism on less and less food. So it seems silly to them that you and I do better when we actually look at the data. But I just want people to know that if intuitive is working and you can just eat meat and it's working, we both support that. But you and I both fully support people who also say, yeah, that that just doesn't work for me yet. And I need a little data to make sure that I am fueling myself properly. There is no shame from me on that at all.
Yeah, no, for me either. And I mean, you can probably hear it in what I'm saying, but I've struggled on and off with depression. Um, Not super massively bad, but kind of this low grade. And so I feel like for anybody, if there's any mental health issues, any history of depression, coupled with the history of the restrictive dieting, I don't trust myself.
Yep.
I don't trust myself because there's still too much in here that can mess me up, and I can be way high, I can be way low, and I don't know.
Yep.
And so it's really, especially the tracking, as much as I would like to say, gee, it would be nice to just intuitively eat, but I don't, I can have a day here or there, whatever, that's fine. But as a general rule,
Yeah.
I need that to keep me on track. It helps me just kind of know where I need to go. And this is my lane. And I just need to stay in my lane.
Yeah.
And it helps me stay in my lane.
I love it, Laurel. I do. I'm looking at your list of things you sent that have been helpful, and we've covered most of them, and then I'm going to do a recap here at the end. But one thing we haven't touched on is iodine. Talk to me about the iodine.
Yeah, yeah. So even though I had upped my calories and things were going better, I was still feeling like, gosh, I don't have like the boundless energy. I just don't, I still feel like there's a lot of days where I just don't have a ton of energy. And I was like, I know I'm eating enough. I know, I don't know what it is. And then one of your videos where you had a bunch of your group members talking about, and I think it was Leah was her name, and she was saying the iodine, and she was, I mean, I thought she's saying exactly my iodine story. She had been taking the 2 to 3 drops for I don't know how long, but I had been taking 2 to 3 drops of the Lugol's for I think 3 years,
Oh,
2 or 3 years, for a long time. And just steady as she goes, I've been taking them very faithfully every day. And I remember one time hearing Judy Cho talk about, oh, if you take the iodine too late in the day, you'll get this big rush of energy. I was like, rush of energy? I don't get any rush of energy when I take the iodine. So then Leah was talking about how she upped her iodine and felt so much better. And I'm like, maybe I'll try it. So very next day, put in 20 drops of
Oh,
iodine instead
wow.
of 2 drops of iodine.
Uh-huh.
And then I got nervous and I backed off to 15 drops the next day because I
Okay.
was like, oh, no, no. But so, and I've kind of stuck at 15, but it really did help.
Another group member came on named Hannah, and she had almost the exact same story as you and Leah, where she
Mhm.
said she had tried the real low dose, and then I think she worked up more slowly, and I don't even remember now how much she's using, but much more than 2 to 3. And she said it was a game changer for her too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's made a big difference. I thought all this time, the iodine, who
Huh.
knew?
Who knew? I know that if Danny Conway were on here right now, she would say, she is always quick to point out for her, iodine does not make her to feel better. And she says it doesn't for everybody. So you and I, neither one are doctors. We're not saying everybody needs 15, 20 drops of iodine. Laurel, I think it's safe to say we don't know what they need when it comes to
Mhm.
iodine.
I
But
don't
what
know.
we are saying is if you aren't feeling good, you don't have to just stick with it for years and years and years. You could experiment with some of these things. Or if Danny was here, she would say, test, don't guess.
Oh, yes.
Go get your iodine checked. But you and Leah and Hannah all just tried on your own to try upping it to see, does it feel better to my body? And 3 out of 3 of you said, It really does. So I think it's worth people keeping that in mind. Looking at your list of 7 things that you said became part of the process that I'm going to focus on. I'm going to stop micromanaging the results and just focus on these processes. Number 1, eating enough, eating more food. Number 2, eating 3 times a day. And I didn't say this when you said it. I used to be embarrassed in this carnivore space to say that I ate 3 times a day because I feel like it is so like, we don't need 3 meals a day. You were just trained to do that. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's contrived. Well, one time I was talking to Danny and said, oh, I feel like a lot of people, myself included, do really well with 3 times a day. I didn't know what she would say. She goes, oh, the vast majority of my clients who are women do way better on 3 meals a day. And I thought, I know this. She knows this. So many women do, and we're sort of scared to say it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think the louder voices have been, oh, well, my breakfast, and then they say when I break my fast, which is usually, 1 or 2 p.m. And I was sitting there going, what? Like, I'm sitting there trying to make it till 10 a.m. and I'm dying.
No, I know.
I wake up hungry. I wake up and I'm hungry.
And I didn't used to. I was a non-breakfast eater because I had trained myself to just get by on coffee all day. Just drinking coffee, going, I'm not really that hungry. More coffee, right? We're just trying to drag ourselves along. Meanwhile, we're exhausted and we're dying for lunchtime saying, no, I could wait. I'm not really hungry. I've got my coffee. Once I started eating a little breakfast, then I wanted more breakfast. And I'm like you, my standard breakfast is around 700 calories, and sometimes it'll be closer to 1,000. And if you kick off your day with 1,000 calories of meat, for me, it's usually several eggs or a New York strip, you're gonna feel different. Yeah. Energy. And
Yeah.
people say, I don't know how you get that many steps in. Well, I don't sit down. I feel so good. I can just walk and feel amazing, but you have to fuel that. All
Yeah.
right. The third thing you mentioned was some metabolic reset days, which includes eating more food on days where you are ravenous and take the day off from tracking, no guilt. Number 4, we walk. You and I, we walk. Um, some days more, some days less, you said. And I think we would both encourage people that you don't need to go from 0 walks to 20,000 a day, just
No.
more than before.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing now, if you're sedentary, take the 10-minute walk after dinner. See how that feels. If it feels good, dwell on that. Gosh, that did feel nice. I think I'll do that
Mhm.
again. Right, number 5, you are lifting weights consistently 2 to 3 days a week. You say nothing crazy, dumbbells in the basement. Such a win. You say, even if it doesn't cause the scale to go down. Oh, my word. At the many good reasons to lift weights, including that muscle in the future will help the scale to go down because it raises our metabolic rate. Number 6, you upped your iodine. And number 7, circadian work, which you talked some about getting morning sun. Do you have the blue blockers?
I wear the blue blockers at night, but I have to say, now that it's getting dark so early, I struggle with it because I don't like having those blue block, the amber.
Yes.
It's so dark.
So dark.
Makes
You know,
everything so dark. So I struggle with it a little bit. So I don't put them on as soon as it gets dark because it gets dark here at 5. And
yes,
like I don't want to be talking to you on Zoom wearing them.
I
So
know.
I put them on, but I really do try and make sure to put them on as soon as I can, like in the evening, to have plenty of time before I'm going to bed to have them on.
I appreciate your honesty on this
Yeah.
because I feel very similarly about those red orange lenses. I do
Mhm.
not love having those on for a long time.
No.
They're very dark in the house. So I am thinking, even though I know they're best, they do block the most blue light. I'm thinking I'm going to order a pair of lighter lens ones that
Oh,
really
yeah.
are meant to be used earlier in the day, like the pale yellow or even the
Yeah.
slightly darker yellow colors, just because I think I would be more inclined to actually wear them, even in
Yeah.
the evenings.
So my hobby is I like to watercolor paint.
Oh,
And if I try that in the evening,
yeah.
in the winter, I cannot wear
No, no.
blockers because the colors are all distorted.
Yes.
So those are some of the where I'm like, oh. But I make sure that at least an hour before I go to bed. And I try and do it as early as I can.
My kids wear the clear lenses, and they don't mind wearing those even during the day, like if with screens and things, wearing the blue blockers, the clears. And I thought, well, if I had those, I would be much more inclined to wear them, even though I know everybody who knows anything is like, well, those aren't the evening glasses. We get it,
Right.
but
Yeah.
better than wearing nothing, I think.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I think that if everybody did, well, let's say 8 things, because let's start with number one. You went carnivore, baby. Carnivore, and then plus these other 7 things. Um, and I'm looking at your list of benefits. You lost 35 pounds, lost the brain fog, the lightheadedness. You're no longer exhausted. You're on your feet all day and can outwork even some of the younger massage therapists. The swelling is gone. The constipation is gone. We didn't even talk about that. The debilitating hip, back, and leg pain. No more migraines. And you're sleeping better. And we just want those things for other people, for everybody watching here. If they could just try some, you don't have to start with 8, right? Let's start with the carnivore part, right?
Sounds like a
That was
good place to start.
That's a
I
great.
would say for women who have any background of restricting, start with the carnivore and eat enough. Eat more food. Just eat more food and eat breakfast. I mean, I feel like eating the big breakfast made the biggest difference for me because it started my day off feeling like, okay, I actually have energy to tackle my day rather than, ah, I'm so tired. What time do I get to eat?
No. People
Yeah.
will fight us on this. They are the can't eat breakfast, but you can't know this yet. By the time your video comes out, people will already have heard from there's a carnivore psychiatrist that I just
Yeah.
interviewed, and the video is about to come out. And she said if she could make one change, and she works with her patients on this, she is still a practicing psychiatrist. She said if I can get them to eat a large carnivore breakfast, and I tell them for the rest of the day, you do, whatever you need to do. I just want you to eat a big breakfast of just meat, fat and protein. It can be omelet, whatever. She said if I can get them to make that one change, the rest of the day goes better. They start mental health feels better. They're more active. Everything gets better. And so you didn't even hear her say that, but you're going to be the second video in a row to advocate for a big carnivore breakfast. We're about to wrap this up, but I have to know what does your sign behind you say?
It's Isaiah 41:10. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand.
Oh, yes, girl. I saw the word strengthen back there. I thought, I think it's a Bible verse. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. Laurel, you are beautiful. I love your whole spirit, your demeanor, your willingness to help people. And I'm just so happy to hear how great you're doing and
Thank
thankful that you're
you.
willing to pass that on to folks here. So,
Thank you. Thanks for having me on and wanting to talk to me.
thank you, Laurel. I'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.